Welcome back to the shop, everybody. Sitting here working on gear door parts so I can get those layups done tonight so I don't have to worry about them later on. You can see here I've got one main landing gear door set up. Here's a nose gear door. You can see I got the foam template already cut out for that. When you got flat parts like this, doing templates are pretty easy. It's flat, you can just take tracing paper or you can go and make an outline with masking tape, however you want to decide to do it. Like I said, they're easy, there's not a whole lot to show there. When you get to these main landing gear doors, concave, convex, compound, curves, all that stuff, makes things a little interesting on how to do it. The upper part here where the tire door is, again, it's just kind of a flat piece here. There is a little bit of a compound curve here, but it's very shallow, so there's not a whole lot of issues to do there. You can see I already got that part cut out, and it fits in there really well. This real thin 1mm stuff, 1.2mm, is extremely conformable under a vacuum without it cracking. So it works pretty well for most stuff. But this area in here, you got this real tight radius curve that gets tighter the further forward you go, and it's a little shallower here in the back. But not only is it curved here, you've also got a curve this way on this side where it kind of dishes out, where you can see right there. And then it's also curved on the bottom side that you can see really well. So how do you make a template of that? Because a flat sheet of foam is not going to bend without crinkling and having all kinds of either breaks or cracks or whatever into it. Well, I'll show you how I did it. I'll show you step by step how I did it, how I'll do it on this one, which on the left side I've already got done. Remember how I said this stuff was thermoformable? There you go. It's pretty cool stuff. Just a little bit of heat with just a monocoat heat gun did that. I mean, it takes very little heat. So here all you gotta do is just kind of, if you take this piece of foam and you lay it flat, you can see it opens up down here at the end. And the reason why it does that is because of all these curves in here. You can't just have that flat piece, or else you'll have a big lump or a crack or something in there. So if you lay this flat, it kind of looks like a V down here at the end. And then as you let go of it, the thermoforming breaks it back to its shape. So how do you do that? I'll show you. First you need your part for your mold. This mold's already prepped and pre-cut and everything, so it's completely ready to go as far as priming it and doing a layup. First thing you do, just some blue painter's masking tape. You should be able to use pretty much any masking tape. You can hear my little boy in the background playing around with the vacuum pump system. Again, masking tape, just run it down. Just run it down one edge. And tear it off a little oversized. You see I'm actually leaving it overhanging the edge down here. I'll show you why here in a bit. So you do that. Then I can take another piece. And I'm going to run it vertically back here in the back, right along the door edge. And what this is going to do is this is going to say, hey, make your door. It's going to kind of give you a blank size for the piece of foam. That's it, buddy. Then you just run it up the edge, and then you do the exact same thing down here at the other end. You can see he brings me parts all the time. So you got both ends done, and that gives you, when you take this piece of tape off, you'll trim it to these edges, and that'll give you your blank. And then from this point on, all you do is you just take more masking tape, you just overlap it, and you go down the whole length of this door. And since these molds are already prepped with the free coat, the tape doesn't want to stick that well, but it sticks good enough to do this process. And you'll get a couple little wrinkles here and there in the tape. Try and get get rid of them as much as possible. If they kind of crease over a little bit, like this one, you can see there's a little bit of a wrinkle right here. Probably can't see it, but it's there. That's it, buddy. Go put it back. And just keep running the tape down. Brings me more stuff all the time. He tries to help. All right, buddy. Stand daddy junk drawer. Yeah. So again, just keep running your masking tape right down the edge. Make sure it stays, you get it as stuck as good as you can. If you're not using pre-coat, this works just as well with a wax mold, as long as there's no PVA on there. If there's PVA, you're gonna pull your PVA off when you pull the masking tape off. So you just run it down. And this is just, I believe, 2-inch wide masking tape. You could use wider stuff or narrower stuff, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Just as long as you completely cover it. And again, the reason why it's completely covered, you'll see it here pretty soon. So you got everything completely covered. And you notice I started with the end, or with the bottom edge, I did the ends, and then I worked my way in. Now you want to do one more piece across the top here. And what this will do is this will kind of lock the whole thing into position. That way when you peel it off, you don't have like a bunch of little fingers or whatever hanging off. This just kind of helps make it all one big piece of tape. So that's there, still overlap here. Just take a regular number 11 X-Acto, whatever you want to call it, or whatever you have for a cutting utensil, and just make a poke, and then just take your knife and just run it all along the edge here. You want to be careful you don't scratch your bolt surface or anything. And again, what this is doing is just giving you the exact dimension for your initial template blank. That way you only cut out as much material as you need for this particular part. You don't have any extra overhangs to trim off or any of that stuff. A little bit more time and effort, but you save it in material cost. Yeah, so you got my tape, buddy. Don't run off with it. Not yet, at least. Alright, so there we go. The whole thing there is filled up with tape. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to kind of trim a little bit of this excess stuff off because I don't really need it at the moment. Now, starting with the edge you initially put down for your tape, in this case it would be the bottom edge, you want to peel all of this back off. And what you're left with is basically what your molding would be. You got a gear door, and you see it's got kind of the bends already made into it. So now that you got this, you're probably thinking, okay, now you got a curved piece of tape. How's that going to work on a flat piece of foam? Or anything flat for that matter. Thanks, buddy. Well, let me grab the piece of foam and I'll show you exactly how that was going to work. Alright, you got your foam here, and you got your piece of tape. So just run the foam down, or put the tape on the foam, and then just sit here and kind of just stick it to the foam. And you see I've got this one edge stuck to the foam. Let me zoom in for you guys a little bit. You might get a little bit better view here. See the one the one side's stuck down, the other side's still kind of bent up. So what you want to do is you kind of got to play with it. What you want to do is you want to get as much of this tape stuck down to the foam as you possibly can without having the foam pull up like that. Sometimes you just kind of got to mess around with it. And by doing it this way, what you're going to do is you're going to end up with that V-shaped, or that piece of Y-shaped foam or whatever, like I showed you on the previous door. At least that's the plan. No, you leave the epoxy alone. Leave that alone. Again, you just kind of got to fiddle around with the tape a little bit to get it to do what you want to. No paint, buddy. And if it curves up a little bit, I believe the other side did that a little bit. It's really no big deal because you'll fix that here in a minute. All right, so now you kind of got this little bit of a curve, but you got a good bit of the tape stuck to it. Now just run down through here and just crease your tape where it's right where it's kind of lifting it up. And you see as you crease it, the foam lays back down straight. Now, on that crease line, take your X-Acto knife again and just kind of run it right down that crease and just cut the tape. Right? And if you chose far enough down, you should be able to lay the rest of the tape down onto the foam. In this case, I didn't go quite far enough. Then just a bit further. And just a little bit of a curve to the foam won't hurt too much. In this case, I still need to go a little bit further. There we go. And now what you've got is that flat curve, or that curved piece of tape. Now it's pretty much completely flat on this piece of foam. Now the edges, those end pieces that I originally showed you, you just want to take your rulers and just sit here and just run a straight edge down that edge. And then just cut off and just cut a straight line. Then the inside edge here, just run your knife blade right along the little, we'll call it the V-neck for the moment. Just run it down through there. When I cut this stuff out, there's some little jagged edges. I just try to make a nice uniform sweeping curve or a cut. I don't worry about keeping it exactly what the template shows. And again, we're going to actually be adjusting this template later on, so it's not as much of a deal either. So I'll run down here and we'll cut this other edge. And unfortunately the waste material is pretty expensive, but what can you do? And we'll cut the top and bottom edges. Again, I don't worry about following the template 100% to its shape and every little bump and whatnot. I just kind of get the nice uniform curve going. What? All right. Now that I've teased the little guy for a while, now I got this flat piece of foam with tape all over it. Zoom back out, and I'll show you guys the next step. Now for my templates, what I do is I just use, it's just some brown kind of like wrapping paper. Why? No, you can't have the stick. I just use some brown wrapping paper, and I'll carefully peel off this blue masking tape from the foam, and I'll put on this brown paper. Again, I'll show you why here in a minute. And you can see on, you might better see it on this one, everything I take off for a template is labeled. Whoops. It's a long, tedious process just to get these templates for production. But again, once you do it once, you don't have to worry about ever doing it again. You don't have to keep this foam material laying around that's really expensive, that is also very fragile. You can just have big chunks of plastic or flat pieces of plastic laying around to hold on to. And then whenever you decide to weigh up another piece or weigh up another model or whatever, it's a pretty quick and easy job of just pulling out your plastic, throwing it on top of your part or your material, and just cutting it in shape. Alright, so now we got the tape off, and we'll just put it on this brown paper. Typically, what I would have done is I would have put this on that plastic sheet I had instead of this brown paper. But the last sheet of that yellow stuff I got still in the box, and I don't have any other templates to make out at the moment. So this brown paper I have to do. Alright, so there's that. Then I'm just going to mark it and tell me what this thing is. Now this can get rolled up and put aside again. Yeah, it's paint, buddy. Leave it alone. Ah. You leave that alone, buddy. Alright. I'm going to move the tripod over to the other area. And I'm going to show you guys the whole thermoforming process with this foam. Pretty simple. It does get a little hot though. Alright. Get you guys in the right area.
That's here. That's here.
So basically, you can see it forms down here pretty good. But as soon as you let go, it just pops right back out. But you can also see that the foam is just slightly oversized for the part. That's the whole reason for going around, is it gives you a piece of foam that's almost perfectly sized. So now just sitting here holding it right here in this corner and here, take a regular monocoque heat gun, let it heat up a little bit. And then just hit it with foam or hit it with some heat, then push back down on it, let it cool off for a little bit. Almost, buddy. And you can see just hitting it with a little bit of heat, it kind of wants to settle down to where you want it to go anyway. So now I got one end of the center kind of done, so I'm going to come down here to the opposite end. Making pieces, buddy. Hit it. And you see, I don't even really put a lot of pressure on that. No, not done. I don't put a whole lot of pressure there, and it kind of already wants to work its way how it wants to go. Come back up to the inside part here. So this stuff is awesome to work with. It's a heck of a lot easier than balsa wood. It's a little bit more relaxing, I guess, just because it's so easy to get it to go how you want it to work, where you want it to go and all. I see you drawing your name on yourself. I was gonna put, yeah. And then when you're done, you get this nice little V-shaped boat looking thing. And the whole reason for all of that is when you put it in here, I know you guys can't see it that great, but when it's compressed down in there, that slit closes up and it'll give you a near perfect gap. Well, a near perfect non-gap for this piece of core material. So there's that. Now we no longer need the heat gun for these particular parts, so I can put this up where a little guy can't get a hold of it. Alright, so now you got this oversized piece of foam compared to the rest of the actual gear door. The gear door is actually kind of all funky shaped on the F-14. So how do you go about getting that funky looking shape to it? You take out your tape again. And you're all dirty now. Since you already got the edges here around the perimeter of it, you don't have to worry about those areas. So what I'll do is I'll just take my masking tape and then I'll just run it along the inside edge of the gear door itself. You're probably wondering why am I doing this instead of just tracing the line. Sometimes the lines can be kind of a little too faint on the inside where you can't really see them. So this will actually set it up where you can see the line from the outside. Just gives you a little bit more contrast to see stuff. Have fun playing with dogs, buddy? See, he's not a whole lot of help all the time. Half the time he's out here playing. Then the dogs come out here and have a good old time as well.
Right. Right.
Alright, so now you can see the inside. The front here has its markings. You can see how it's all kind of funky looking, like I was saying. And then the backing is also the same way. It's kind of got a lot of little jags and stuff. So now that that's done, sit there and take our just the ultra-fine Sharpie marker. And I put the gear door core material back in place. I'm just going to trace around on that edge, that masking tape. I know y'all can't see it a whole lot right now because my head's probably in the way. There's really not a whole lot to see at the moment. Put the pin back. Here. Yeah, we'll just kind of work our way back around here to the back again. And be careful you don't move this around too much or your door shape will be all funky and not like you want it to be. Alright, there's that. Now I'll take my ruler. Now I just connect the dots on this thing.
Tractor, come here.
Alright, so now the lines are all drawn here on the foam. You see you got that shape, and then back here how it splits in two. Then when they join up, it gives you basically a straight line. Alright, so now that I have to move you guys again. You're always in my way. Just kidding. Yeah, I'm talking to you guys out there on YouTube, not my son. So now what do we do? All this back and forth, back and forth. Yeah, I know. Like I said, it's time consuming and tedious. Now, once again, take your tape back off the mold because you don't need it anymore. You can throw it in the trash. Take your X-Acto and a ruler and cut your parts back out, or cut back onto the lines that you just made. You have to be careful that not all of them are going to be straight. There might be a curved line here or two here or there, so you don't want to cut a straight line on something that should be curved. now what you're going to end up with is a perfectly shaped piece of core material for your gear door. Well, in this case, the gear door. It might be, who knows what, on your airplane. Now the back side's cut the shape. I'll do the same for the front. Yeah, it's paint, buddy. Don't touch it. Alright. Now, that piece of foam is shaped to fit the gear door perfect. Now, take your piece of paper with your door template back out. Take your door and put it back on your paper template and align it up as good as possible. You don't be as accurate as you can. Back up there, what you want to do is you just want to trace around it, around your piece of core material, to transfer your lines onto your template. Now you can see, once it zooms in and focuses, your tape template there has your new lines on your template. So now these templates are going to be identical to the piece of the foam you've got. So that's how I go about doing funky shaped templates and stuff. Again, it's complex, it's tedious, it's time consuming, but you only got to do it once or twice, or once per part hopefully. So now that I have both of these pieces of foam done for these gear doors, I can now go about getting the glass templates and the glass stuff and all that stuff, the glass layers cut out and ready to go on. Well, when I get ready to do that stuff, I'll come out here and again I'll post a video. Haven't decided if I'm going to do the fiberglass templates now or if I'm going to do them later. These parts are going to be a little oversized anyway, so you get a little bit of a gap around the gear door opening and the flanges for it. But again, I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to go about doing all that. I'll figure it out while I eat dinner. Well, until the next video, maybe I'll do a third one today, who knows. You guys and gals have a great afternoon or great evening, wherever you're at.